Hey, everybody. Grant Miller here with the ghost of the Orange Bowl, Jay. How you pronounce your last name?
Rao.
Rao. And I'm a big fan of the Orange Bowl. I grew up in Miami. Let's see. Is it on there yet? Facebook? We'll see.
It is.
I grew up in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I worked what's called Zum Zum. You know what Zum Zum guys are?
Sure.
Coach here, get your coach here. God, those were the days, my friend. The last Super Bowl, I think it was a 72 or something like that. I won the most Cokes. I sold the most Cokes. I got a $15 bonus. Tommy, this show's gonna pop up somewhere. We're gonna see it. You can just keep going.
All right.
So how did you get involved with the Orange Bowl?
Well, you know,
Where did you grow up?
Well, first of all, I was not originally from Miami. In fact, I was born in Oakland, California.
You're a Raider fan?
I was a little kid.
Wait, how can you not love the Raiders?
Well, when they moved to Los Angeles, I swore them off because they moved away from the city I was born. So I pretty much gave up on the
Raiders. Our producer, Tommy, are you a Raider fan? No. I just love Al Davis. Come on, I'm the only one. All right, so you move. Oh, that's true. The snake.
Right.
Okay, so how did you get into the Orange Bowl? Talk about that.
Well, when I moved to Miami in 1986, my dad got a job down in South Dade. We lived in Country Walk before the hurricane, and I remember.
By the way, that's called Kendall.
Okay, Kendall.
Okay.
All right, but we went to a University of Miami, Oklahoma game, and it was billed as the number
Juan Caminero made the big block.
Well, it was actually 86 when Vinny Testaverde was the quarterback.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And they were playing Brian Bosworth, and Oklahoma.
What was his nickname?
The Boz.
The Boz, right?
Mm-hmm. And they were the defending national champions. It came down with that big wishbone offense, and Miami just took them apart. But I fell in love with the Orange Bowl because I couldn't believe the atmosphere in that stadium.
That was great days.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so then you fell in love with the Orange Bowl. You fell in love with the Hurricanes.
Yes, I became a huge Hurricanes fan, Dolphins fan, and I've been pretty much kind of a Miami sports history junkie.
Are you a Marlin fan?
I am.
Okay, well, we're going to have you quiz Tommy because, you know, he has a bunch of shows every week. Okay. All right, so we're going to pop up some pictures. Tommy, can you start popping them up, this guy? All right, go ahead. Talk about it.
Well, that's from the infamous Doug Flutie to Gerard Phelan game against the Hurricanes in '84. Probably the most famous college football play of all time. Maybe
I was in that stadium.
Oh wow! I was living in Illinois when that happened, and I remember watching that.
Okay, next picture. What's?
Well, that's the East End zone, and that was back when the Dolphins played on the old polyturf, which was back in the 1970s. From 1970 to 1975, or Super Bowl 10, it was the Orange Bowl's playing surface was covered by a type of artificial turf.
That hurt your knees.
Oh, yes.
By the way, that's where the Flipper used to be, not the real Flipper, but Dolphin used to be.
That's true.
All right, go ahead.
This is a photo from the old Thanksgiving night game between Miami High and Edison that was played every year on Thanksgiving. And it used to draw like 40,000 to 50,000 people for high school football. Back when high school football was king in Miami, before the Hurricanes were any good, before the Dolphins ever existed, it was all about Miami High, Edison, Coral Gables, Jackson.
Just to let you know, in our building, I don't know if you know this, Tommy, but Georgia, who works her father was Coach Mooney, who coached at Edison.
Otis Mooney.
Yeah, right. He just passed away. He was like 100. Okay, next one.
That's a picture from the very first New Year's Orange Bowl game in 1938. And as you can see, the Orange Bowl looked a lot different back in those days. It was a single-deck stadium with 2 grandstands. There were no end zone seats at the time. And you can see all that space behind the end zones and everything. And
then the baseball field's to the bottom left.
Yes.
And that is where the Marlin Stadium sits now.
Yes. Well, actually, the Marlin, it actually turned into the Southwest parking lot of the Orange Bowl. It was called Miami Field. It was original name was Tatum Field. It was built in 1916.
Wow.
Way before the Orange Bowl ever existed.
All right, next one. There it is, baby.
That's Flipper, the original Dolphin mascot, and that was taken back in the early days of the Dolphin franchise. I'm going to say 1966, 67. Excuse me. And they used to situate him in the east end zone, as you can see. And but by the late 60s, they removed him. But he made a comeback in the late 70s, early 80s.
All right, next one.
That's from arguably maybe the most famous moment in University of Miami history.
That was in the east.
That's the
southeast corner.
Yes. That was against Nebraska, 1984 Orange Bowl.
I was at that game.
You can see number 2 on the ground, Kenny Calhoun. He was the one that tipped away the pass from Jeff Smith, the Nebraska running back, who almost made maybe the biggest play. Well, that was probably the biggest play.
Well, Nebraska was favored.
Yes, by 18 points to be exact.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, next one, sir.
This is one of the great catches in Super Bowl history by Lynn Swann near the sidelines. You can see the Orange Bowl sign in the background. And as you can see, the Orange Bowl sign, the city of Miami welcomes you to the Orange Bowl. Believe it or not, that sign wasn't always there at the stadium. It was actually added to the stadium in 1962. And the color scheme has changed over the years. You can see the background is orange and the lettering is white. And of course, in that game, Lynn Swann made so many great catches in that game. He became the first receiver.
What year was that?
January 1976, and it's the last game played on the polyturf.
Yeah, I worked that game too. Cokes here, get your Cokes here. All right, go ahead.
This is the Orange Bowl from the 1950s, a rare colored photo, and I got this photo from Florida Memory, I believe it is. That website, I want to give props to them. You can see a baseball diamond that's Miami Field on the southwest side. That later became a parking lot in 1964. But originally it was a spring training home of the Boston Braves and the St. Louis Browns.
Tommy?
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Tommy, you should save that for your show. That's an interesting thing. Because that's where the Marlins play now, right? Correct?
No.
They play. That's their spot. That's the stadium there.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
And of course, that's a classic shot of the Orange Bowl at night. You can see the city of Miami skyline.
What year was that?
Wow, I'm going to say that was probably near the end of the Orange Bowl, so probably in the mid to early 2000s.
I just want to make it clear. When the Gators played in the Orange Bowl the last time, I was drunk on the bottom of the stadium, so I just want to remember that. Those were some good old days. Go ahead.
Well, that's the famous city of Miami welcomes you to the Orange Bowl sign, which we talked about earlier. And as you can see, the color scheme is a little bit different than the earlier shot.
Right. Now it's orange on white. Okay.
Exactly. And that's a shot of Dan Marino with Don Shula.
Did he have a broken hand then?
But I think Dan had it looks like he has a cast on his left hand.
Yeah, I think he. All right, next one.
And that's one of the famous plays in Dolphins history. That's Tony Nathan scoring on the famous hook and lateral. Now, not the hook and ladder, which a lot of people call it, but if Don Shula were here, he would tell you it's the hook and lateral.
That's when the wide receiver gets it and flips it back.
Flips it back. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And that's Willis Mcgahy scoring one of his 6 touchdowns against Virginia Tech in 2002, I believe it was.
What a career he had, huh?
Oh, yes. And it probably had the best season by a Miami running back for 1 year.
But he got hurt the last game.
He did in the Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State. Yeah.
Right.
That's the last one.
That's the last one. Wow. Going back in history.
Sure.
I mean, for us old Miamians, the stadium used to rock. And I remember going to the Dolphin games with my brother, and it's like you were sitting on top of each other.
Right.
I mean, you're bundled, jammed in together. So you have a column by the way. He writes for our Facebook and our newsletter every day. We pop up something new on what's happening with your history. Now, you also post on another Facebook, right?
Yeah, I'm a guest there. It's not really my page.
No, but you're a guest. And what's the page called?
Page is called Dade County Football Alumni.
And whoever it is, he seems like he's a ghost.
Well, his name is Louis Diavani. And
this guy is brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
What he did, Louis, I don't know who you are, but I want to thank you for what you're doing for Dade County's sports, not Dade County football, Dade County sports. You know, I've coached, give or take, just under, no, about 30 to 40 years of high school, little league, Pop Warner, everything. So I lost track of players over the years. So Ramon Fuller, former player of mine, I coached him in 76.
Right.
Yeah, 76, 75, 76. Him and his brother Roshan and his nephew, or his cousin, Rodney Lyles, who intercepted 3 passes against UM when he played for Michigan to beat UM. So I lost contact with him. His name was on there. I reached out to him, and Ramon said, the last time I saw you, Grant, was 1978 when you were coaching at Columbus and Killian, we beat you. So the point of it is this is connecting people. So, Lewis, we want to thank you, everybody in Dade County that's connected to youth sports, high school sports. And I love these people who are putting up pictures from, the South Dade Rams. They had 3 pro football players on that team. I don't remember all of them.
Well, Sean Taylor was one of them.
Yes, Sean Taylor. And his father's still the chief of police down in Florida City.
Sure.
Shout out to him, to Pete, who's a hell of a guy and one great football coach. But what's doing is connecting. We know that everybody said, who had the most pros? We don't know. But what's great is now these high schools, because of you, Lewis, are now keeping track of how many people went to pro. When we don't, as a common person watching pro athletes, they don't say what high school they went to. They say what college. But it's great that we produce a lot of athletes.
Sure.
And Lewis, you're helping to get the thing together. So congratulations. Do you know what Lewis did before?
He attended Coral Park High School. He lives out in Charlotte, North Carolina now.
And he put this together.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the interaction is unbelievable across the country. So, all right. So a little bit about the ghost of the Orange Wall. How many pieces? You've been doing this for how long?
Wow. I started back in July of, I'm going to say 2012. So we're coming up on 9 years.
And where did you put? You always post it just in your Facebook?
Yeah, just on my Facebook page, not my personal Facebook page, but the Ghost of the Orange Bowl page.
That's your page.
And we post like about 3 times a day, and been doing it for 9 years.
And do you write this all the time, or is this old copy that you wrote?
Sometimes I might recycle some old stuff if it's a player's birthday. We do a lot of birthdays. When it's a player's birthday or a coach's birthday, we'll post a picture or a short biography about them.
That's exciting. I love the comments. When you put the birthdays, and I don't know how you have their birthdays. You just keep record of it.
Yeah. I kind of keep. I have a calendar where I've kept track of all the major players and coaches that have played in the.
That was like an intermission dance.
Yeah.
All right. So has people reached out to you on your Facebook, former athletes?
It's amazing. We've had people like Ted Hendricks, Jim Jensen, Lamar Thomas. Who else? I think Mark Clayton. We've heard from him. John Offerdahl.
I got to tell you a story about Ted Hendricks. The Stalk, Hialeah High University, right?
Sure.
No, I did go
Hialeah High School. Sure.
Yeah. So this is 20 years ago. University of Miami games playing in the little league football team. Palmetto. I used to be the president of Pop Warner, so I know the story. So, 92, 93, 94 back then. So this football team from Palmetto.
Sure. Palmetto Raiders, right?
You're ruining my story.
Oh, sorry.
Palmetto Raiders was out collecting money at a football game. And you can make $500-$600. The Palmetto Raiders travel a lot, and so this kid walks up and goes, "Here, I don't have any money, but here's my business card." This 10-year-old kid, what's a business card? Right. Give it to your coach. So the coach gets the kid, Coach Moss. Was it Fryer? Moss gives him the business card. So he calls the guy. From that day, for 15 years, this one person gave $5,000 a year. Now, what program was it called?
Palmetto Raiders. Yeah.
And who's the most famous Raiders from Miami? Ted Hendricks. Ted Hendricks gave it from his foundation $5,000 a year for like 15 years. Yeah. So Ted Hendricks out of the blue, because this kid doesn't know who he is. Ted Hendricks, a big,
Right.
but Ted Hendricks, he really supports his. He loved the Raiders and loved that. Palmetto. Let's talk about Palmetto Raiders. They've been around forever. They do a great job.
Sure.
They had the three Davis brothers.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Actually, there were 4 of them.
they all played.
They all played at Southridge, and they all won the Dade County rushing title.
One won it 2 years in a row, right?
Maybe. I think Troy might have been the one, or Darren, one of them.
Yeah. So Palmetto Raiders has a great organization, great coaches, and there's kids that all through Dade County, Liberty City Optimist, Gwen Cherry.
Sure.
Pop Warner does a great job. But now, when I was president of Pop Warner, we were the only program in town. Now there's some other Optimist programs. Luther Campbell story, real quick.
Luther Campbell. Wow. Well,
He's coaching the Red Raiders now.
Yes, at Edison High School.
Right. So 1973, Gerald Darling calls me up, City Miami cop, says, I'd like you to meet with Luther Campbell. 92, 93. I said, okay. So I go to his studio, and Gerald Darling was with Sam Johnson.
Right.
You know who Sam Johnson is?
Yes,
the founder.
He started the Liberty City Optimist Club. Yeah.
So they were in a little program, but not in Pop Warner. And I said, Gerald says, how much money do you think they need to be in Pop Warner? I said, well, to get the league, their program, they need about $50,000.
Right. To
make it, well, Pop Warner, you're just paying for the referee. You're paying for the missions, a couple thousand, whatever. Luther Campbell says, to me, he was bigger than life.
Right.
He said, hold on. There's 4 of us in this little room. Luther Campbell goes to his back, comes back, writes a check out to Liberty City Optimist for $50,000. And that got Liberty City the new blood they needed. And Sam Johnson, who passed away, and Gerald Darling was City Miami. So that's the story about Luther Campbell that most people don't know. That he was, and he didn't never talked about it.
Right.
When they did that video on HBO did a thing on Liberty City, they didn't talk about Luther Campbell. Because only 4 people know. Sam Johnson, Gerald Darling, Luther Campbell, and me.
Right.
So Luther Campbell did a great job for his community.
Well, Uncle Luke, back in his day, he used to go over to Miami Beach and play youth football over there because there was no Optimist football in Liberty City at the time.
Correct.
So all the inner city kids would go over to the MacArthur Causeway, take a bus nicknamed the Purple Haze, and drive all the way to Miami Beach and
Memorial Field
and play. I think in the PAL. I think
it was a PAL
League over there. Yeah.
And they stopped PAL, the football program, because Liberty City Optimist started, Overtown started. Overtown Raiders, Rattlers.
Rattlers.
Yeah. So Pop Warner football, youth football are well coached now. There's 7-on-7 football. Speaking about football, the quarterback from Gulliver signed a scholarship.
Haggard, I think.
Yeah,
the name is
Carson Haggard at Tulane.
Right.
I'm real proud of the gentleman. There's not one kid that works harder than he does. So, do you have any favorite high school coaches in Miami?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm kind of biased, towards Southridge, now when I was there, Jerry Hughes was the head coach, but come
on, they got the greatest.
Probably Don Solinger is probably
the coach of all coaches.
But, certainly, Walt Frazier at Carroll City deserves.
Yeah, but
respect.
Solinger, he coached great running backs at UM.
Sure. Not too long ago,
Walt Frazier, you said?
Walt Frazier at Carroll City.
Is he the one with the hat?
With the hat, the train engineer's hat.
Okay, go ahead. Keep naming them.
Billy Rohl is another guy who deserves.
He's a legend. He's got 3 championships. Well, one at Northwestern, one at Killeen, and another one at
Southridge.
Southridge, right?
He's at 3 different schools. The only one to do it in the entire state.
Right.
I mean, there's so many. How about guys that never won a championship, like Buddy Goines at Miami Springs? Great character.
You just wrote about that. I saw that.
Well, I wrote about him some time ago, but he's a guy that's an institution in Dade County.
You know who's doing a great job? Yeah. The coach of Palmetto now.
Oh yeah, Mancuso, I believe his name is.
He's building from the bottom up. He's teaching them character. So And who else? What other coaches in your history that you really like?
Oh wow. Sam Miller, I guess, is another guy.
We're not related. People think we're related. I used to beat him in handball. I mean, he was a big racquetball player.
Sure.
Yeah, Sam Miller. He was at Palmetto. He was at Killian, right?
Yeah, Sam Miller started out at South Dade, and
Started at South Miami, didn't he? South Dade.
South Dade, and then he went to South Miami, and then he coached at Derek Thomas at the late great Derek Thomas.
Derek lived down the street from here.
Yeah,
he lived in Prime, but his girlfriend lived 3 houses down from here,
Right.
so he was here all the time.
Sure.
His nickname was BB.
Right, exactly.
It's like Andre Dawson. You know what his nickname is, right? Pudge.
Oh, I did not know that.
And yesterday you just posted Ray Noriega.
Ray Noriega.
Okay, here's the great story. You never met him, right?
I've never met Ray.
Okay, so he was a baseball player. His parents were a baseball player. They did not know he played football. You didn't know that.
Oh.
So one day, Ray had a big game at Southwest. Had a couple interceptions, one return for a touchdown. So Saturday morning comes, he wakes up, his mother's beating him with the newspaper. And she didn't speak a lot of English, but after she was banging on him,
Right.
she opened the newspaper and showed that Ray, what is this? You're playing football? It said Noriega wins game for Southwest.
Right.
His parents did not know he was playing football.
Wow.
So that's the history of Ray playing football. His parents finally caught him because they didn't know where he is.
Right.
Back then you're playing. So yeah, Ray was not allowed to play football, but he did. But he was a hell of a football player, a hell of a baseball guy, and a good person. Ray Sonori. All right. Your favorite college coach?
Wow. Well, I'd have to go with Jimmy Johnson. I mean, just from personal bias, when I came down here, he was coaching.
Right.
And, the funny thing is that, we look at Jimmy Johnson's this great coach now, but I can remember a time where Miami fans weren't too happy with him.
Oh, they don't like him.
I mean, he struggled in that first year. He had big shoes to fill when he came in for Schnellenberger. They lost 5 games that first year.
Right.
And some tough losses in Boston College and Maryland. And then the Fiesta Bowl, they lost to Penn State, and a lot of people were down on him. But then he was able to win the national championship the next year, and then he became a legend in Dallas, winning a couple of Super Bowls. And now, Jimmy's is probably the most beloved coach in Hurricane history.
He is bigger than life. He does a bunch of fishing tournaments with Todd Roy and Valerie Roy. He's bigger than life, and he's still very humble. And he takes pictures with everybody when you see him. So hats off to Coach Johnson. I really appreciate what you've done for Miami and for football.
Sure.
We're going to wrap it up. I want you to look at this camera and talk about your Facebook, where they can find your stuff.
Well, you can go on to facebook.com/Ghosts of the Orange Bowl. That's my page. And you'll find all kinds of great stuff, memorabilia, pick classic photos from famous games from the past. We look back on some of the great coaches and players that played there. And it's more than just football. We also cover like concerts, soccer games, religious rallies, political rallies. We covered the whole gamut. We even have pictures of motocross races. I mean, tractor pulls, you name it. It's happened at the Orange Bowl.
Well, we would love to, if you have any baseball stuff regarding early baseball, whether it's the Boston Braves, Tommy, who does his own Marlins show. If you have a history of that area, Tommy, right? Yep. Sure. Okay. Awesome. I appreciate it. You did a great job. It's truly an honor to have you. Everybody, have a great day.